What do you say, everybody? It's time for Monday Night Quarterback. We do this every Monday night with Trey Yanity. I'm Mick Gillispie. Monday Night Quarterback is always brought to you by Westgate Luxury Condominiums right there next to Bryant-Denny Stadium. It's where we watch the ADay game from. WestgateAL.com for more information, and we'll talk more about Westgate coming up on the show. Chris Daughtry behind the scenes. Trey, you and me going to talk a lot of college football today. First off, before we get into the ADay game in Alabama, really important question. What'd you think of the USFL?
Hey, the Stallions, Birmingham Stallions, getting their first franchise win. So congratulations to them. Congratulations to the USFL for getting this thing off the ground. These spring leagues don't necessarily do too well. They haven't done too well in the past. So hopefully USFL is here to stay. And the Fan Controlled Football League getting off to a hot start this weekend as well. So football is back, guys. And, of course, Alabama football as well. Hey, the Pittsburgh Pirates, my favorite baseball team, is above 500. Life is great right now. So, yeah, man, a lot going on.
Who's in first?
In the Central?
Yeah.
Still the Cardinals. But, hey, your Cubs, my Pirates, both 5-4, tied for second place. So, hanging around, we're right there. But, yeah, it's been such a fun spring, to kind of recap just everything. We've had so much basketball, the Masters, of course, and Alabama spring football and ADay, kind of the tip of the iceberg there at the end of it. So, it's been a really great spring. I don't think my Pirates, maybe your Cubs, are going to sustain this success, but you got to hope. If nothing else, we got some Alabama football for the first time to talk about. So
Yep. And we're always talking Alabama football here on this YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. We love having you guys here as part of the channel. Nobody covers Alabama football like we do. And I'm talking about recruiting with Andrew Bone. I'm talking about Kyle Henderson and all of the things that he's involved in. Chris and Trey and myself, we're here as well. And we appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight. All right, let's get into the ADay game. Lots to get into. We saw the game and how it went down. But first, Greg Rose, thanks, man, for the super sticker, man. $5. We appreciate that as well. And, guys, hit us in the comments section as well if you have anything you want to get into tonight. And, a lot of times we do look in there and, and throw Roll Tide your way and answer any questions that you may have. All right. ADay game always starts with the captains getting to put their hands in the, in the cement. And, another championship last year. It wasn't the national championship, but it was the SEC title. And before that, we got the opportunity to see two very special guys hanging out with Nick Saban. And I'm talking about the first ever African-American players on the football team, Wilbur Johnson and John Mitchell. Really special moment for Alabama and for the football program and really, for the entire state.
Yeah, just such a great day in general. It is every year. And, I hope you guys stayed dry if you decided to make the trip to Tuscaloosa. If not, hopefully, you got to enjoy it from the comfort of your home because this is just, such a ceremonial day every year. And we saw pregame the captain's ceremony there with Bryce Young, Will Anderson kind of leaving their mark. And of course, the ceremony here for Wilbur Jackson, as well as John Mitchell there. Just such a great ceremony here. These two guys completely integral for this program. The first two African-American players for Alabama football, changing the game. And, Alabama was one of the first schools to kind of do this. So, for these two guys, just trailblazers. Love the placement of this plaque here too. Really, right out front there, the Walk of Champions. I thought this was a great ceremony. Like I said, I wish the weather was a little bit better for it. Wish we could have had a dry day, to honor these guys and the captains and everything else going on. But, from what we heard, this ceremony was awesome. And, just a special opportunity. I think ADay, spring game in general, you figure out kind of what you have, who's looking good through the spring. But, it's a day to kind of recap the previous year and, do things like this, honor people that really deserve the recognition. We saw that Saturday. So happy for these two guys and, so many other athletes that have come following them, guys that have changed this program, guys that have been brave and, taken on that challenge of kind of being trailblazers. These two truly trailblazers, just a great way to start off ADay.
Yeah, I can still hear Bear Bryant in my mind, telling the team, hey, here's what a football player looks like after the loss to USC. And then, going out and recruiting and bringing in, Black players and it just the way that it should have been, and now Alabama, one of the best teams in the country, just like back then. And it's just awesome to get the opportunity to pay homage to those guys that came first and the sacrifices that they went through in their lives and what they mean to the program. So that was a good way to start the ADay game. And then, you do all the other festivities as well. And there you go, out in front of Denny Chimes. There's your captains.
Yeah, there it is. And, 4 guys that just deserve this to the moon. And 2 guys, obviously, returning for this season, but 2 guys that made their mark here. 2 guys that, all 4, of course, national champions from 2020. But, 2 guys that really made the difference. And maybe guys that didn't get credit. Evan Neal, Fidarian Mathis. Their namesake got the hype by the end of it. But, up front sometimes, I think these guys, the offensive linemen and, even defensive linemen at times kind of get swept under the rug a little bit. Evan Neal, one of the most athletic offensive linemen Alabama has ever had. Great to get him back here. Of course, draft day coming up, expecting him to be a top 3 pick, when that day does come around. But overall, just great to see this ceremony here. Saw it last year, a little bit different. You had Mac Jones back in town. I believe it was Devontae Smith as well. Some of those guys from the 2020 team. These guys really, kind of a different group here. We got 2 returners and of course, Bryce Young, Will Anderson, looking to make a big mark this season. But when you talk about captains, 4 guys that couldn't be more deserving. And, you look at the 2 on the left side there. I think guys that, even though they got the hype near the end, maybe didn't get the hype that they deserved throughout, their college career. So just a special ceremony here along with the Wilbur Jackson and, John Mitchell ceremony. Great to get it started. And this is the thing I love about ADay. It's almost becoming like the spring homecoming game in a sense. Everybody, kind of gather around the quad. There is no parade, but you have ceremonies like this and things that just really get you excited, for the season to come. So great to get these 2 guys back in town. Like I said, best of luck to Fidarian Mathis and Evan Neal. This draft is going to be super interesting. I know we're probably not going to get too far into that tonight, but obviously some great stock there.
Like and subscribe as you hang out with this guy. Share. This is Trey Yanity, and I'm Mick Gillispie. We're talking Alabama football on YouTube. We do it every night with Monday Night Quarterback, brought to you by Westgate Luxury Condominiums. The ADay game now, Trey. Let's get into this thing. It was lopsided. Nick Saban was about 15 to 20 feet behind the line of scrimmage. He had that face on right there. This isn't the guy from the Aflac commercial, okay? The happy-go-lucky Nick Saban. It was the cranky Nick Saban that was not happy with the offensive line play. He was looking for attention to detail because the defense was so good. And the weather. So we started early. We had a shorter halftime show than normal, or halftime at the stadium. And at the end of the day, what'd you think of the game?
This was a different kind of game with the rain, and let's kind of get into the comments here. What's up, JG? Good to see you tonight. We got Ralph Parkman in from Phoenix City as well. What's going on? Let us know where you guys are watching from tonight.
We lost Trey. Anyway, yeah, let us know where you guys are watching in from tonight. There's Trey.
Sorry about that,
because
guys.
we
Skipped
appreciate
out
you being here. Comment, and we'll read those as well. All right, Trey, as you were saying.
Yeah, as I was saying, you look at Nick Saban, maybe not the guy that you see in the Aflac commercial, but he is wearing the jacket. So, we love to see the spring colors here in this game. But he said something I think that was really important in the post-game press conference. Saturday really was different because of the conditions. They do a wet ball practice during the spring. I think they do a couple wet ball practices for instances like this if they're going to get a game like this. But this is a different kind of atmosphere for a game. Bryce Young a little bit affected. Jaylen Miller, didn't have the touch on some of those deep balls as well. I don't want to credit that completely to the rain and the drops, as well. But the rain certainly had a factor. Yeah, JG, they definitely did get me, man. We're trying to battle them here on the home front as well. But this is the kind of game where I think you really zone in on certain plays, maybe more than full game performances. Love what we saw out of Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously busting it out for the long touchdown run and, just the wittiness, the way that he was able to find gaps. We see Trey Sanders get in there, catch some passes out of the backfield. Love what they use, or love how they use the running back room in this game. The wide receivers, I liked the amount of guys that we saw, and that's a spring game. You want to give everybody a chance, but you like how they worked them. You see Kendrick Law catching passes over the middle, JoJo Earl getting to the flat. We didn't see that a ton last year. So, just trying different things, trying out guys in certain situations that are maybe a little bit, more unique. That's what the ADay game is about. That's what spring football is about, getting comfortable with the program, really getting a comprehensive idea of what you have, where you have it. And, the weather, if nothing else, creating some challenges for these guys to kind of overcome on ADay. But like I said, you take all of this with a grain of salt. Bryce Young, made some throws he probably doesn't in a real game, and had, the rain to deal with on the side as well. So I'm not looking at the stats too hard. I think it was 25-7 was the final score. The white team won, the second team offense there. So good for them. I think they got the steaks after the game, and Bryce Young and crew were left with the beans and the hot dogs.
31,077 was the announced attendance in the game. And you mentioned it, 25-7 was the final score. White team beat Crimson for the steaks, right? Your thoughts on the running back Jahmyr Gibbs winning the Dixie Howe Memorial Award, which is the MVP of the ADay game?
Deserved it all the way. There's a few guys, you can kind of point to in this game. I think Will Anderson would be too easy. And, JG talking about it. This offensive line, guys, we talked about it on Saturday, needs some improvement. But that would be the case if this was the line we were going to look at in August and September. This line was missing 2 starters and a huge transfer in Tyler Steen. You get those guys on the line, things maybe look a little bit differently. That's the one area you feel really concerned about after this game. But, for Jahmyr Gibbs, that obviously was not a problem. He found the space, he broke it out, and this just stop and start speed. I referenced this guy on Saturday, CJ Spiller. I don't know if you've ever seen the tape. You watched him with the Bills in the NFL, a little bit of time there in New Orleans with the Saints, but just the acceleration, very comparable. This guy has stop and start speed that I don't think we've seen at Bama in a long time. We talk about some of the running backs that have had a lot of success. Najee Harris did a lot of things well. We're seeing that at the NFL, but he didn't quite have this acceleration. Obviously, had a lot of other things going his way, but Jahmyr Gibbs brings you a unique style, just a smart running back and a guy that I think this team needed because you have a lot of different names. You have Trey Sanders, you have Jace McClellan. Even if you want to go further into the room, you have some very viable options there. But, to have a guy that has played at a Power 5 school for the last 2 seasons, was a top guy in a Power 5 conference statistically, that just adds a whole new element to this room, and a guy that really is that smart. We finally got to see it on Saturday. Just gets you excited. I think he deserved it all the way. You look last season, Ajay Hall was the MVP of this game, so you hope that there's no correlation there. But a great day for Jahmyr Gibbs. So happy he got to live up to that hype that we've just heard about all spring.
It was Jamil Burrows winning the defensive lineman winning the Dwight Stevenson Award, the most valuable lineman of the ADay game. Gibbs, you mentioned the 75-yard touchdown run. He had 9 carries for 100 yards and a touchdown. The guy that we thought, if you watched our post-game show here on the site after the ADay game, we actually came on during the game. Receiver Christian Leary, 5 catches, 106 yards. I thought it was going to be him. So I guess he was probably second. He had to be pretty close.
Had to be. I mean, he had a day. And, this is the kid that out of that group of receivers from last season, you talk about JoJo Earl, Ajay Hall included, Christian Leary, he was the highest rated. And, you don't want to read into that too deep. Stars don't matter when you get to this level, and ratings don't necessarily matter. But, he has always had the skill set. And this is a guy I thought would maybe get a bit more of a chance last season. Didn't react quite the same as Ajay Hall, has waited his turn, and is a guy that I think is really going to get his chance this season. You look at this receiving core, and, Jermaine Burton was utilized, I think, pretty well on Saturday. You like to see him get out in space, try some stuff over the middle there with him as well, but there is going to be some opportunity in this receiving room. Ajay Hall now gone. That opens up a door even further for guys like Christian Leary. You like what you saw out of JoJo Earl too, and even to look at the special teams. Talk about, the punt return team this year. You're going to have options of Kool-Aid McKinstry, Jermaine Burton, JoJo Earl, even some of these other guys. Even in the rain, these guys looked relatively good. So you just love the hands team. This is very reminiscent of 2017. You had an unproven Jerry Jeudy, an unproven Henry Ruggs, unproven Devontae Smith. They had to make a name for themselves. I think this season is going to look a lot like that. You have a quarterback that can certainly feed the ball around the field. Like I said, the offensive line has to improve here. I think it will with health. But you have a quarterback that's just consistently going to be able to make plays and get these guys the football. But, shout out to Christian Leary. Like I said, for sticking it out, not making any noise last season when he didn't get his opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was the highest rated guy out of this group and didn't get the playing time like JoJo Earl, like Ja'Cory Brooks. I think he will this season. I see A-Rat in the comments talking about Tyler Harrell. We're going to get to that in a minute. That could change some things as well. But, as far as ADay goes, Christian Leary had quite the day.
Guys, like and subscribe, share as you hang out with us here talking Alabama football on YouTube with Trey Yanity. I'm Mick Gillispie, Monday Night Quarterback, brought to you by Westgate Luxury Condominiums, WestgateAL.com to learn more. And let me tell you, we had a great time, ADay game on the roof. We were actually in the building aspect of it. We weren't normally we weren't outside like we normally are. We were inside, and it was very comfortable. It's really an awesome place to hang out on game day at the Skygate Club. All right, before we close the book on the ADay game, we talked about Gibbs, we talked about Leary, so you can't add them. And Will Anderson Jr. doesn't count because he's like a whole different level of football player. Give me a guy on offense and a guy on defense who really impressed you in this football game.
There's obvious answers to this question, but I think Jaylen Miller, I'm going to group this. I'm going to say Ty Simpson and Jaylen Miller both. Ty Simpson, maybe didn't get as many touches as I would have liked to have him to receive in that game. But, you look at his day, 5 for 12, 43 yards. 71.8 passer rating. We talked about this on Saturday. That's not something that puts you over the moon. That's not something that necessarily gets you excited, but it was good to see him playing, in a real game situation, or at least in front of fans, in a pretty serious scrimmage. And for Jaylen Miller, you really liked what you saw at times. Had the one interception, like I said earlier, the ball was a little bit slippery. He tried a deep ball early in that game. It got picked off. You're going to have that, but he connected on a beautiful deep ball later in the game. 11 for 23 on the day, 149, 107.9, and just the size. I mean, the look. This guy has gotten even bigger, even stronger. The runs we saw. One of the touchdowns was called back that he ran it in, I think, early in the game. In a real game situation, I think he shrugs the defender and scores that touchdown.
Right.
You just love what this guy brings. It's tough because you have the Heisman winner coming back as quarterback. But, if you guys follow Kyle Henderson, our managing editor on Twitter, you saw the picture, that one right there. I mean, this guy just looks like, an NFL player at this point.
Right.
He'd probably start for, almost every other Power 5 school in the country. So, you love to see him even make a further step physically this offseason. Going to be interested to see what they do with him this year. If they try some stuff out, maybe at a different position, or, if they give him some reps at quarterback throughout the season. Going to be really fun to watch. But, overall, Jaylen Miller, guy I want to highlight for just getting those reps finally, getting to showcase the run and a little bit of the pass as well on that deep ball. That's maybe my guy. Ty Simpson didn't have the greatest day in the world, but got on the field, and, it's just another little step for him. So quarterback room, got to give him a shout out there.
All right, so you get to talk about the two quarterbacks. Anyone else?
I want to touch on really just the receiver room in general. Kind of going down the stat line today. I think there was 8 different guys on the Crimson team, 7 different guys on the Crimson team, 5 different guys on the white team that caught passes in that game. So just getting the ball around, seeing Dayu Bell-Jones get out there, get his chances. Kendrick Law, like I said, we talked about Christian Leary, Trayshawn Sholden, Jermaine Burton, a lot of names flashing around right now. Cameron Latu getting activated. And, the running backs, too, catching passes out of the backfield. I think the air threat is going to be just as deadly this season. You don't have Jamison Williams. You don't have John Mechie, but you do have some very talented wide receivers. So just getting the ball spread around the field on Saturday, even with the conditions, was fun to see. I want to shout out somebody on the offensive line, but, I can't. They had a really tough day. And, for guys like Kendall Randolph, who maybe had the tougher days, you just got to hope that they make those improvements. And like Nick Saban said, I mean, you're guarding Will Anderson on the edge there. That is a tough assignment. You hope they take it as motivation and get better this summer.
Yeah, tough to argue with anything you said. The offensive line deserved to eat beans, just like Bryce Young is right there, right? Reach into there, get you a big bowl of beans while the other guys are enjoying a great steak. That's the tradition of the ADay game. And Bryce Young, not normally the guy eating beans, right? But it just looked like he never really got into a zone on Saturday, and partly because he never really had time to throw. Yeah. So we turned the page on the ADay game as Will Anderson Jr., I guess, is he's going with baked potato, some shredded cheddar cheese, and he's got some cream cheese to go on there. I'm sure some butter. And look, it looks like there's steak and cake over there. Much different meal for Will Anderson Jr.
Yeah, I mean, and Will Anderson earned it. A-Rat getting in the comments talking about Braswell and, Dallas Turner as well. I know it's not Will Anderson, but those two guys, so talented. Chris Braswell has been slept on. He is a great third option. And we talk about guys like Jeremiah Alexander. You talk about outside linebacker at Alabama right now. It could not be more loaded. So, yes, it was not Will Anderson the whole game. Maybe it was one quarter, but you just feel confident. That's maybe the area you want to highlight out of everybody. Outside linebacker, we knew it was going to be potent in this game. We know it's going to be potent this upcoming season, but so many different guys you can turn to. I hope Jeremiah Alexander, those kind of guys get their chance this season because, Chris Braswell still hasn't really even gotten his chance, and he's right there. So love what they provided on defense. Obviously, they were the victors there, so I hope they enjoyed the steak in that game. But,
eat up, boys, eat up.
Yeah.
He's Trey Yanity. I'm Mick Gillispie. This is Monday Night Quarterback, talking Alabama football on YouTube. Guys, like, subscribe, hit the bell, share with your friends. We do this every Monday night, and a lot to be excited about. Offensive line, not so much. A lot of work to do. The good news is you had Dalcourt and Ekiyor out, right? So you had two guys out, and then Steen, who's transferring in from Vanderbilt, wasn't there either. So there's definitely, as Jerry Garcia sang so good over the years with the Dead, help on the way. And hopefully that help gets there before the first game of the season, because when they turn around and play Texas, they're going to need all hands on deck. All right, now let's talk about not just Steen, not just Gibbs, who transferred in and was the most valuable player, not just Burton, not just Ricks, but let's talk about potential transfers into the program, because it sounds like there's some scuttlebutt that there's another possible target coming to Tuscaloosa.
Oh, yeah. There's dust up in the air right now. And as we kind of talk about some of these other transfers, I love A-Rat for getting in the comments and being, so active tonight. We appreciate you helping us out here. And he makes a good point. You have to hope Steen comes in, because he said liability in the comment section here. I think that's a fair word for it. At tackle, Alabama has some liabilities. The thing you love about Tyler Steen, he's able to play left or right tackle. He has that versatility. So you hope he can find some success, at either position there. But, Tyler Harrell is the next guy you hope that Alabama can earn here in the transfer portal. From what we understand at this point, things look good for Alabama and Tyler Harrell. He really likes Alabama, has spent some time here at Louisville. We have a video in the queue here for him if he were to commit. But, you look at Alabama in general, this offseason with the transfer portal, couldn't have had a better season to this point. You would love to add another receiver. You maybe love to add some more line help as well. But, you talk about a guy like Tyler Harrell to add even more veteran experience. It almost creates a bit of a logjam at wide receiver. Where does he fit into this offense? He brings a bit of a different skill set than a guy like Jermaine Burton, of course. But, he does kind of trump a guy like maybe JoJo Earl or, even a guy like Christian Leary, who we fell in love with on Saturday, because he has a very similar skill set and, probably would fit into this offense right away. I don't want to overstep here, because, he hasn't been as vocal as certain guys in the transfer portal. It's kind of a hunch that he comes to Bama at this point. So, we don't want to overstep it here, but he has shown interest from what we understand, in Alabama, in Nick Saban, in this program, like a lot of the guys. You know what Tyler Steen said last week. He didn't come to Alabama just because of the football. he loved the business school. He loved the education at Alabama. He loved the chance to, be a part of a program that is treated like an NFL team. So, I think Tyler Harrell has kind of expressed, similar thoughts. You would love to add another wide receiver this offseason. Kayshon Boutte from early signing period on when he gave out his, his tweet there with the eyeballs on Jermaine Burton. I thought he was maybe the next guy. I think every Alabama fan was hoping that was the next guy. But, we really just got to hope that at least one more wide receiver transfers in this class because, you'd love to add some more veteran experience with so many young guys in this core.
I'm curious to see how this turns out, because Harrell is, a playmaker, guy with all the speed and all that stuff. Do you think they're going to get to a point where they'll say there's actually a drop dead date for this transferring? I mean, it's like the Wild West right now, and Dabo Swinney kind of got into it. Nick Saban had some comments about NIL, and I think the NIL and the transfer portal to me are like 1A and 1B, and what is I don't want to say what's wrong with college football because I don't think it's wrong. I just think that where there needs to be some kind of guidance, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, this is a topic that I don't think they're ever going to find a perfect solution for. The transfer portal is weird. If you're an Alabama fan, you love it because these last 2 seasons, you've had game-changing players come through the transfer portal, season-changing players. So you have to hope that, no legislation is passed to change things here. Hey, Rad, no, don't do my boy Christian Leary like that. He's not Slate Bolden 3.0. I think he's gonna have a little bit more success, and not to knock on Slate Bolden by any means, but I like him a little bit better there in the slot. But Alabama has nobody to apologize to. They're taking full advantage of the transfer portal. They've taken full advantage of NIL. Nick Saban is 70 years old, but he's taking advantage of a system that a guy Dabo Swinney in his mid-40s isn't able to take advantage of, which is impressive, surprising, whatever you want to call it. I think maybe something needs to happen when it comes to NIL because there's just so much gray area, and that's money being passed. But the transfer portal, at the end of the day, maybe guys don't need to enter it at will like we're seeing, but that's their decision. And if they made the wrong one at first, or maybe like guys like Tyler Steen just want a bit of a change of pace, or something different. Grad transfers, really, I'm speaking on here. Give them the chance. So I don't know if transfer portal wise, if there needs to be something done. That's a little bit over my pay grade, to be honest. But it shocks me year in and year out that Nick Saban, a guy that is in his 70s, is able to dominate guys like Dabo Swinney in the transfer portal. But it's been great for Alabama's success.
Look, to Nick Saban, 70 is the new 40. I mean, he's still running neck and neck with Dabo for the time being. So, and you saw that on the, I would normally say sideline, but on the field Saturday when he was kind of in everyone's rear and chewing hard when things weren't going well. And when they were too, he's the best in the business. The guy brings such passion and love and attention to detail to the game of football. Alabama's so lucky to have him as head coach. Every time I see him out there, it really, you have to pinch yourself. I mean, what we're seeing right now with Nick Saban and this run that they're still on may never be duplicated again. And for Alabama, they've had the 2 best coaches in the history of college football, Bear Bryant and Nick Saban, right? All right,
let's. One more note, really, before we move on, sorry to catch up here, Mick. I just saw this transfer portal. You talk about Alabama. If they're able to land every position at need in the transfer portal, maybe there does need to be some rule. Because you go out and you get the top quarterback in the transfer portal. You get one of the top running backs in the transfer portal.
Hey, Trey, can you see if you hit the effect button on your board?
Sorry, guys. We're That's the late night. That's the late night Bama Insiders.
Trey, I'm looking at Chris, who's in the Bama Insider Studio South, and we thought that Maybe you had been abducted by aliens or something.
Yeah, no, I just transitioned over to my evil lair there for a second, guys. No, sorry about that.
Rat's on there. He said, "What is happening?"
I can hit many octaves, guys. My voice has many different layers to it here. You have to hold on with me.
Oh my goodness, dude, that's taking it to a whole nother level. All right, let's reset here. Darth Vader, Jarvis. I'm listening, and I was like, "Is everybody hearing what I'm hearing right now?"
You guys, I'm making sure everybody's still awake out there. So I appreciate you guys with us here.
Tell your friends about that. Share and subscribe and like after Trey just went Darth Vader on us.
Vader hour. No,
all right, back to Nick Saban. Let's talk about the real leader of the empire, Nick Saban.
After my Home Alone 2 phase, deep head cold phase here. I'll get back to the point. If Nick Saban is able to go out and get a top cornerback in the transfer portal, top running back, a great slot wide receiver, and a deep ball threat in Tyler Harrell, just go ahead and give up everybody because what he's been able to do with this recruiting class, with the pieces already in place, and now the transfer portal, it is spooky as F, A-Rat. It is very spooky as F. So, well said there. Sorry about that, guys. Well, I'll make sure we save that for the fall, for Halloween season next time, because I know that was a lot.
Guys, like and subscribe as you hang out with us here on the football channel, talking Alabama football on YouTube. This show's brought to you by Westgate Luxury Condominiums. Before we change gears, let me throw this up here for a second. That is Westgate, man. That's where the crew was on Saturday for the ADay game. That's where we are after every Alabama football game. Westgate Luxury Condominium. We're at the Skygate Club. There's our friend Jillian. She's fantastic. Everyone over there treats us with just with such regard. And I mean, they make everyone, including us, feel special. It's one of those places where it's luxury to the hilt. You're talking about oversized balconies. You're talking about the security. You got to have the wristbands to get in. The Skygate Club on the roof with all the TVs right there next to Bryant-Denny Stadium. The Wolf and Sub-Zero kitchens, which are fantastic appliances. You talk about just luxurious. The units go like this. They're 1 to 5 bedroom from 900 to 3,000 square feet. And right now there's some available, but they're going fast. You want to be a part of this, whether you're just looking for maybe some rental property, maybe you got you got a kid coming to Alabama. You want something to invest in. You want a place to go for football. Look, they're just awesome. Find out for yourself at westgateal.com. And I promise you won't be disappointed. You can also Airbnb these on anytime, so you want to come to town and you want to stay in the lap of luxury. Definitely check it out, westgateal.com. All right, let's talk a little bit of baseball. What a series in Knoxville this weekend between the two hottest teams in the SEC. Red hot Alabama against white hot Tennessee. Tennessee had a 23-game winning streak snapped Tuesday night in a game where they used wood bats at Smokies Stadium. That's the minor league park in Sevierville, Tennessee. And then that was against Tennessee Tech. Then Alabama comes to town and beats them 6-3 on Friday. That's their first SEC loss. What was Alabama's win streak? Was it 8?
8 games.
It was 8. Wow. So one team won 12 in a row, and the other team won 8 in a row. And then Tennessee was upset with Alabama celebrating after that win, like they'd won the World Series. The umpires got into it. Tony Vitello, the manager or head coach in college, bumped the umpires, which both sides weren't real happy with as far as terrible calls go. Tennessee said that they counted 56 missed calls on the Friday night game, and Vitello got suspended for 4 games. His pitching coach got kicked out. Alabama had a coach get kicked out, and that's how the series ended. Look, I called baseball in the SEC for 3 years. I did 2 years on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, and then I did a year on SEC Plus. So the first year Alabama's new stadium opens. It's bad. I mean, let's throw it out there. It's the officiating, the The umpiring in the SEC, there are some good ones, but there's some bad ones. And this series saw a lot of bad umpiring. With that said, I'm not taking anything away from Alabama. That's a hell of a win on Friday night.
Unbelievable win. Really excited to see these next rankings because I think they only move up with, at least one win in Knoxville. And real quick before we move to baseball, A-Rat asking about the Robinson on the defensive side of the ball, playing star Jack there. I believe that was Quindarius Robinson, a kid I've really liked since his recruitment. He was a 4-star. He's out of the state of Alabama. So, hopefully he gets his playing time. He's actually a redshirt sophomore now. So it did take a year in 2020. Hope to see him here. I believe that's who you're talking about from Saturday. But, for baseball, this was the gauntlet, going to Tennessee after playing a really good Ole Miss team at home, sweeping that series. It was going to be hard, to go up to Knoxville and play a team that's been so hot, obviously coming off the loss in the midweek to Tennessee Tech, but, to play a team with such an unbelievable pitching staff and a team that can produce so many runs. I mean, we've talked about it on here, aside from anything Alabama, we've just, had our conversations in our group message. Tennessee scored, I think it was 53 runs in 2 games to start the season against Iona. This team is unbelievable. And I think, last year they made it to Omaha, kind of had a tough out there. I think this team, is a shoo-in to go back to the College World Series. And I think they're going to do some damage this year. For Alabama, I think getting one was the goal. You go up to a school like Tennessee in Knoxville. You're not playing them in Tuscaloosa, the number 1 team in the country with this daunting SEC win streak. Getting a game, being the first SEC school to win a game against Tennessee, that's a big deal. Sweeping Ole Miss, jumped them to 24 in certain polls. It depends on where you look. But I think one win over Tennessee, maybe bunts this team into the top 20. Probably not the top 15. I think you take 2 out of 3. You get into that top 15 conversation. But, at this point, just getting one was massive for this team. Keep this momentum going. Kind of got dragged through the mud there those last 2 games. And the calls, yes, there was some missed calls. There were some poor calls in all 3 games, not just the last 2 there. But, getting a win, getting that confidence, coming back in game 2, forcing, a little bit of stress on that Tennessee team. They ran away with it by the end. But, just playing competitive baseball in those first 2 games, winning the first one, I think is going to mean the world for this team. You hope they just keep rolling. I think at this point, you go 500 the rest of the way in conference, you guarantee a regional. They're not going to host a regional at this point or anything like that. But I think 500 and you're in, just like last year.
Look, I'd love to see it happen. No one was picking Alabama baseball, but Bohannon's crew pitching well, coming up with some hitting. I'll tell you what, they play good defense too. They're a fun team to watch. It's a program that's on the rise for sure. And, after the disaster, after Mitch Gaspard left, that guy that was there for a year, took things down. And now, Bohannon and his crew starting to build back, the recruiting and the respect for Alabama and the SEC. And, and we'll see what happens. But I like the way this team is. My only thought is don't give them that on Friday night. Don't give them that celebration. Shake hands like you thought you were going to win that game. You're good enough to beat anyone in the country. You don't have to celebrate like it's game 7. Just get focused on Saturday and Sunday, like you've been there before. And that's the tough part about winning a game like that against a team that hasn't lost that much in college is you get fired up. Well, then the next 2 nights they got blown out, so get me focused again. As good as Tennessee was last year, remember Alabama beat them in the SEC tournament. And nothing like watching 2 teams go at it like they did that Friday night game and for Alabama to find a way to win. But I like the direction of this program a lot. I think Alabama baseball, besides the whole scholarship thing, we could talk hours about it. These other schools have lottery scholarships, so every player's on a scholarship. Alabama's like splitting like 11 and a half scholarships or something
Maybe
like that.
Not even.
It's tough. It's tough to win when you're giving books away, and the other schools are able to cover everyone on the team. But it can be done. Jim Wells did it at Alabama. You can win that way. He got to the World Series. Alabama's been to the World Series before, so I think they got the right coach. and they're going in the right direction, and it was a huge win, and it's a learning experience. Just got to pick it up where they left off on Friday and see if they can find that momentum again. Talking about momentum, before we get off here, I got to give Pat Murphy's team a lot of love because they're stalking another SEC championship. They're percentage points away from first place where Arkansas is, but Arkansas has played a little bit of a weak schedule so far. That's going to change here coming up. Alabama has played some tough teams. They can beat anyone on any night because they have the best pitcher in the country. And they're starting to get this thing going now. I feel like Alabama softball, I think they're going to win the SEC. I know I don't want to jinx them. That's not jinxing. I'm just saying I like where they're at right now, second, and starting to pick up momentum after a weekend sweep.
That'd be like saying, I think Alabama football has a good chance to win the SEC. This team is a powerhouse. And, to be honest with you, I don't want to put this rat poison out there. I don't want to be that guy, but I will be stunned. My jaw will be on the floor if it is not Alabama versus Oklahoma in Oklahoma City for the championship, because they have just separated themselves with the rest of the field. 2 comeback wins, 2 walk-off wins against Mississippi State this weekend. This team has the best pitching in the country, the best pitcher maybe in the country, and Lexi Kilfoyle is right there with Montana Fouts, and just such great offense too. So credit to this team, credit to Pat Murphy. Couldn't be a better guy, could not be a better coach. And I think this is the year. I think it was 2012 maybe they got the championship. This could be the next one.
Hey, look, I've known Pat Murphy since he got to Tuscaloosa, and all he's done is just win. Like the song. I mean, he just has. He's been focused on winning, and he wins. And the tickets are hard to get, and people love it. And it's a lot because of what he's been able to do as Alabama's head coach. One national championship. This seems like it's got the writing on the wall for number 2, as you see Fouts there, the fireballer. That is, I'd say, the best pitcher Alabama's ever had. Sorry, Stephanie.
Maybe Alexis Osorio. Right there.
I don't know. There's been some good ones.
Yeah.
All right, Trey, before we wrap it up, anything else you want to get into?
This is a bit of a different time in the year for Alabama football. We're past ADay now, but we're still going to have so much content coming out, guys. Last summer, we saw some huge storylines that were so fun to follow. Jamison Williams, Henry To'o, both came to us through the summer months. And I think we're going to see a lot of the same. Maybe not headline transfers, but, we're going to see a lot of guys that make their commitments. We've only seen 3 commitments so far in this 2023 class. It's just going to be fun to follow as we get into the summer. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us through ADay. Through the spring practice, because it's been fun to follow. But
I got to put this up here before you get off here, Trey. I just got to put it up there.
What does that even mean?
I guess it was when you were doing that Darth Vader voice.
Oh man, yeah. I'm sorry. Is that Alabama Tide? Excuse me, Alabama Tide. I'm so sorry. Everybody that had to deal with my Darth Vader with my Home Alone 2, as it's been called in the past. This is not the first time. Like, I wish this is the first time I'd accidentally hit this button and we had to have this conversation. But no, thank you guys for sticking it out, not just tonight through the Darth Vader voice, but through this entire spring, with all of our coverage. So thank you guys. We really appreciate it.
Stay tuned to our channel. Make sure you like and subscribe, share. If anything happens with Harrell or any player, as far as Alabama transfers are concerned, first place you need to go to find out, to get the information, to see what they look like, right here. So like, subscribe, and share. Tomorrow night, Andrew Bone will let you know about recruiting. There are some players that he feels like are going to be committing really soon, and I'll let him tell you that tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. We've got Trey, you coming up later on this week. So make sure everybody like, subscribe, and share to our channel as we talk Alabama football here on YouTube. All right, for Chris Daughtry, Kyle Henderson, our managing editor, Trey Yanity, I'm Mick Gillispie. Thanks for hanging out with us on Monday Night Quarterback. We will do it again next Monday at 6 o'clock. So make sure that you're here for that. Roll Tide, everybody.